Well, I'm at a point now where I often don't remember what happened a couple of minutes before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a perfect example of somebody who lives in the here and now.
Right.
And that would be very good, except that I can't remember any of it, you know.
And what's the problem with not remembering, or is there a certain joy?
Oh, I love to remember things. Yeah, you know, I spent years reconstructing my life, you know, especially my childhood, and it was very pleasant to me. And if the memories are old enough, I can grab them, but not recent ones.
I just want to remind you that your memory for music, for theater, for a great deal of literature, and for all kinds of music, your memory remains intact for that very old stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's that you don't remember what happened yesterday, or you don't remember what happened this morning.
Yeah. Right.
That is the difficulty. Of course, it's what Zen monks are. That's how they achieve monkhood, right? Just be here now, right now. So that's the upside, that you are here right now. You make really good contact in the moment. It's just that you don't remember that moment the next moment. Well, does that describe?
Ironic, isn't it?
Does that describe your experience?
Yeah, it does.
What I think you might want to talk about is what you're learning from this experience. What you're learning about the experience of just being here now. Because it's not all bad. I mean, we went to an incredible play the other night. You loved it.
Oh yeah, that's a really good example. We went to this great play, the name of which I don't remember anymore. I had a really great experience there. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't tell you now what the play was about.
If I triggered it, would you remember?
I don't know, you could try.
Well, it was about racial patterns in housing in the 50s.
Right.
And now, and changing neighborhoods. And it was basically about race. It was a play about race. Mm-hmm. Race and politics, and it was a deep play. Does that trigger anything?
Not much.
Okay, so there, everybody, is the deal.
Yeah.
But in the moment,
yeah,
you were intrigued.
Yeah, I get excited.
Yeah. So that's the deal. So you get to have the moment, but there's not much residual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm sort of required to live in the moment. There's nowhere else I can go. You know, it used to be, when I was working on the memory book, and I was really into remembering, that having the memories was more interesting, more fun than the here and now was, you know. And,
I'm sorry to hear that.
with a few exceptions. I don't think I want to go back over that old misery again, you know, that not being able to communicate. Oh, shit. That was awful. And yet I managed to have a life, right?
You sure did.
Yeah.
And to craft an extraordinary career. You really did. Yeah. So what's it like now, looking at the end, being at the end of the line? What's it like looking at death? How do you think about that, and what do you feel about it?
All that much, except when one of my friends is sick or dying.
Like right now.
Like right now. And, it's not a major issue with me. It really isn't. I managed. I'm still having a lot of fun in my life. I still have my sense of humor. If I lost that, I would be a mess.
Oh.
Because, I used it as I've used my humor in different ways at different times of my life. To deflect some things I didn't want to talk about, to be a little star in my. Let's wait for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I used to, when I was a young man, I'm told, to keep people away, because I could be very sarcastic when I didn't want to deal with something. And I can't remember the last time I was sarcastic.
The subject is death. It's so easy to stray away from it, isn't it?
Oh, no, that's not.
That was easy. A cheap shot.
That was a cheap shot. It's
okay.
really easy. I don't, truly, I don't go around thinking of me dying. I'm very aware that my friends are beginning to drop off. And that's hard. And it's not hard because I wonder if I'm next or close to next. I think it's just too much to think about now. There's a lot of fun out there to be had. And the irony is, that about aging, well, with me, I've sort of lost one skill or one skill set at a time. It's been sort of gradual.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's like a business that's on the decline where it's going like this on a chart. And I think it's like that, this aging process. We have to be able to encompass the losses and make some peace with it, or we'd go nuts.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely.
Because it is, it's not just the loss of people, but there's plenty of that, but it's loss of our own capacities. And energy. But I think my sense is that you and that we together also have gained something from that about clarity and priorities.
Yeah, without having to think about it very much.
Well, I think we think about it quite a lot when we plan what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and who we're going to do it with and who we're not going to do it with. The kinds of everyday choices that we make that I think are much more conscious than they used to be. And I think that's in relation to there's not a lot of time left and there isn't so much energy.
That's true.
Yeah. So if we choose tonight not to hear the triple concerto and to be with Suzanne, that's just a choice that's congruent with our values, and also that there's not a lot of time, and that Bill will probably die in the next week or two, and that we want to be with them. So, I mean, I think that's emblematic for both of us, and we talk about this all the time. Do we want to do this or this?
Yeah, you know, I've often felt I'm kind of guilty about still being here when, you know, when my good friends are beginning to fade away.
And when Jeffrey Cole is sick.
Yeah. Yeah, Joan's son's been sick with cancer for a long time.
The fact of the matter is, everybody, when you're in your 80s, every day is a blessing. And just know it. I mean, maybe every day is a blessing anyway. I think it is. Because we just never know what's going to hit. Mm-hmm. You know this. Mm-hmm. And if we treat it as anything but that, we're just making a big mistake. And I'm speaking, I know, for both of us, because we speak about this all the time.
Getting old is not, it's not terrible. You know, you lose some abilities, but you gain a lot of others. And I was going to be more specific, and now I can't remember what I was going to be specific about. There's a certain calmness to that comes with age, in my case. What I dislike the most is not being able to participate the way I used to. Because my hearing is so bad, even with these things.
Talk louder, huh?
Huh?
Speak a little louder if you can.
And I can only deal really with one thing at a time, with one input at a time. If I'm in a group, even a small group, and there's a lot of talking from other people, I can't sort stuff out the way I used to. And that's disturbing, but it's the way it is. And, you know, I'm remembering now that when I was a kid and I had to stammer, and I remember my mother urging me to speak more slowly, and that didn't do any good at all, because it just kept my attention focused on that damn problem. Most important thing, I think when I got that work up at Cal.
UCSF.
Yeah. The basic message I got was to do one thing at a time. And which is very difficult in real life, but and it was interesting to me because why? Because as a writer, as a teacher of writing, point I was making over and over again was to do one thing at a time. Work on one part of the whole at a time, and to stay on track that way.
And hasn't, I think that it's helped to have that validation, because it's been your experience anyway, that that's all you can do. And it's been helpful to me that you'll say, hold it. I'm overstimulated. I can't take on any more right now. So I back off, because our paces are different.
Oh, yeah.
You think?
Oh, yeah, folks.
But there's something informative about that. It slows me down to match you. I don't do it perfectly, that's for damn sure, but it's instructive to me. And I think it takes the heat off of you. And actually, it's all we can ever do anyhow. We can have other things in mind, but we can only do one thing at a time in this life. I mean, we pretend that we're doing 100 things, and we might do them sequentially, but we can only do one at a time. But yours is in kind of slow motion. I never thought about it that way before, but that's kind of how it is. I think the thing that you've got to teach that's so interesting, and I hope everybody will know this about Bob. You seem to face these years without fear. I mean, you're doing them. You're in your life. And you're in your life till you won't be in your life anymore. And there's something just beautiful about that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
If I may say so.
Not living with a lot of fear about what's next. I probably am more than you are, because I'm afraid you're going to fall, or I'm afraid blah, 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 all the things we know that I get nervous about.
Yeah, that's true. I don't have fear of dying. I mean, I never walk around being fearful. I've thought sometimes, well, what's the best way to die? What's the... And
what'd you decide?
Well, there's no perfect way, but I don't think about it.
Do you mean you don't think about it, or you don't dwell on it? Because I know you think about it.
I really don't. I mean, it's not like when you're young and you think you're immortal,
It's not that. It's not that. It's not stupid.
I think I've got a lot of other things to think about. What would really upset me if I knew it were happening was to lose my sense of humor. That's so much a part of who I am.
Yeah.
It gives me pleasure to make people laugh, or to think how witty I can be, and and that's very nice.
By the way, for generations to come, the reason Grandpa married me was because I laughed at his jokes. But I really, really thought he was one of the funnier people I'd ever met in my life. You are.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I say. The other thing.
Yes.
Who's our
your great grandchildren? It's all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Grandma was and is a very attractive person. And
are you trying to say sexy, but you don't want to say that?
well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe some infant is going to look at this.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, she was very sexy, and we were. Yeah, I think both of us were attracted in the same way. I know. Now I've lost the train again.
Well, you were talking about your humor.
Right.
Right.
And how important that is. And we were talking about it in the context of how you feel about death.
Right.
And how little occupied you are about that.
Yeah, for a short while, I had stumbled on Last Words of People. I think it was Escobar. And he turned around and looked at at a wall of his room, which was wallpapered. And he said, either that wallpaper goes or I do. And then he died. Now
that's funny.
Not as much appreciation as I should have.
She's worrying a lot.
Yeah, I know.
And you're apparently not worrying too much.
She's probably worrying more than I am.
Jeez, what a bad deal that is.
It's not fair. But, yeah, sometimes I know, my friends are all aware of my age, and most of them are younger than me. And,
I want to just inject. I don't think it's your age that's the critical factor. I think it's your disability that's the critical factor. I mean, it's not that we worry because you're old. That's not it. It's concern that you're going to have another accident or that you'll get further disabled in a way that would make life not pleasant for you. That you wouldn't want to be in it, or we wouldn't want to have you be in it like that. Like another broken hip, or because you fall so often.
My sense is that I figure out a way to make any further disability, short of death, interesting. And
maybe for you.
But as long as people don't nag me too much.
As long as everybody's in the world's taking care of you. Mm-hmm. So. And I think the sense of humor has to do with perspective. That
I think you're right.
That we hold a perspective about what's happening to us, so that we don't tumble or fall into the darkness of all the losses. And let me just say something about what's happening relationally from my point of view. It's difficult because I'm now, in the last couple of years, carrying most of the executive functioning of our relationship. And by that I mean the planning, the helping you to move through your daily activity. If I'm not doing it, a caretaker or someone is, because that you're not able to navigate yourself anymore. So that requires that both of us hold a perspective on it, because I've gotten so much from you over the years, and I know you would do the same for me. And the difficulty is when you resent being so dependent. And that can get us into power struggles. So the lesson for anybody, in our training group, a couple of weeks ago with Irv Polster, who, for future generations, is one of our very dearest friends and most important teachers. Grandpa did a piece of work in which Irv said, "You're just paving the way for the rest of us. You're showing us, the rest of us, how to do this." This was spoken from an 88-year-old man who was also showing us the way. But I think it's the job of elders to pave the way and show the way as best we can, and to talk about it. Because I think we go through these experiences not reflecting the meaning of them in terms of what we can teach and what we can share with each other, and how we can maintain our dignity and our perspective, even though things are really different. And even though there are huge losses. And one other thing, because we talk about this all the time, my son is quite ill. He lives back east, my son Jeff. Now, I could really go into despair about that. And I'm very sad, but I am not in despair. And I'm doing my life every day because that's what I've got. And I've got enormous things to be grateful for. And I think it's striking that balance late in life, all through life.
Yeah, right.
All through life.
Right.
But late in life, because the negatives can so overtake the joyfulness and the music and the beauty of a sunny day, which is just amazing. I'm looking out at our lemon tree, which is gorgeous. And if we lose that sense of perspective and balance, we're dead before we die. And I know you and I have a commitment to not doing that.
Yeah, I remember years ago, Big Andre.
Oh, Andre DeCari.
Yeah.
Our good friend.
Yeah. One of our younger friends, who's now about, 60?
Plus.
Something like that. He was very caring around me, and he watched me very carefully. He watched me cross the street, and I remember the first time he held me by the arm as I crossed the street. My first reaction was resentment, but very soon after, it turned to love. I mean, this guy really wants to take care of me.
And you felt gratitude.
And he did, yeah.
He did, and he does.
Yeah, he still does.
It's not current,
Mm-hmm.
but I think over the years we've had to really be very mindful of how much I was taking over. I remember when I started paying all the bills, and there was a little hassle about that. And, it's paying attention every day to what's really going on and not going unconscious about it. Because if we go unconscious about it, then we'll get in trouble.
I don't plan much anymore.
That's one of those losses.
Yeah.
But heck, you got me now, so
I do.
you need to bother.
I worked it out. No, I think that sort of thing took care of itself. People step in. One of the nice things about this stage of life is that when I walk into a darkened theater, and the only light is from the picture on the screen, and the picture gets dark, and then I can't see a goddamn thing, and I'm in the aisle, you know. People come forward, you know. It's amazing to me. There's always someone that's watching, it seems. And I feel terrible when I go from the aisle down the row to an empty seat. And, you know, once in a while I stumble, I'm about to fall on some innocent. But people have been really good to me. I mean, it's...
Well, I think you generate that.
Yeah. Well, in the dark even.
No, well, I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, I generate that, and there are a lot of instances where I really need help, and somebody picks it up.
Right.
A thought came and it left. Come on back. I would like to have a good, honest conversation with my kid's mother. But she's been so angry at me for how many years? I made some overtures years ago. And I really wanted to talk to her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I'm not angry at her, and she's angry at me, so that hasn't been possible. You know, we've said a few words. I don't know what I want to talk about exactly. I'd just like to make the contact again.
Mm-hmm.